Hello, class 10. Hope you are doing fine in the midst of this corona. Stay safe, stay home. So, today we will be starting off with our first topic of the year, that is life processes. And as you know, that life processes, we have been studying this for quite some time, the different physiological activities that take place in the body of a human being or of any organism for that matter of fact. Of course, why I said human being is, of course, because you're breathing, you're eating, you're moving, you're growing. Everything is a life process which is very, very essential for a living being to grow. So today we will be discussing about what is life processes, how they are related to each other. So of course, these are certain physiological processes that are necessary for any organism to sustain itself or to stay alive. So basically, life processes, there are few basic life processes that distinguish a living being from a non-living being. So the basic life processes, we know that first is nutrition. Now nutrition is attaining food, not only attaining food, just you take in food and that's it. No, you take in food, you utilize it in the body and generate energy. Now generating energy is another process, but you take in food and utilize it, that's called nutrition. So taking of food inside the body and converting it into smaller molecules so that it can be absorbed by the body is known as nutrition. Next is, of course, I was talking about respiration. So you've taken in the food now. Why have you taken in the food? Of course, you need energy. You need energy to do different kind of activities. So the process by which the food is burnt down or oxidized to release energy is known as respiration. So oxidation of food to release energy is known as respiration. Now you see the intrinsic relationship. Okay, we will come to it later on. So the next part is transportation. Now whatever you have taken in, absorbed in the body shouldn't stay at one place, is it? So of course it has to move around. It has to move around the whole body or get transported, right? It has to move around to the different parts, to the different cells. So that's called transportation, which means that the process in which a substance absorbed by one part of the body is moved to another part of the body. Next, of course, whatever you have taken in, you're happy with it. Now whatever you don't need by the body, what you don't require by the body, you need to throw out, basically. So the process in which the waste materials are removed from the body is known as excretion. So all this done, and there is another very, very important thing, that is that there must be someone who is controlling the whole thing, or coordinating with the different activities in your body. Now why I was telling you that these all life processes are interlinked with each other. So I'll tell you about the control coordination part, and then I'll explain to you the interrelationships. So a process which helps the living beings to survive in the changing environment. Say you're sleeping and your mom pokes you, so that's your environment got changed. Your mother poking you to get up is the stimulus, right? And you getting up is, of course, your response to the stimulus. Firstly you say, no, I don't want to get up, but then you have to get up, right? So stimulus is the change in the environment, and the response is what the organism responds, or shows whatever change it has to show. So now you see the interrelationships. Now in a body can't function, you think about your own body. You've taken in food, very happy, you've utilized, you've broken down, digested, broken down the food, it has gone inside your cells, different parts of the body has absorbed. Now the food is basically in one part, it is absorbed. So first and foremost, he needs to get transported to the different parts, because your intestine will not only enjoy the whole food, it has to go to the different parts of the cells, right? So that has to be, again, see, nutrition is being connected to transportation. Next, once it has gone, what? It will sit down over there? No, it will go inside the body, and with the oxygen that you have taken by the respiratory process, over there it will be broken down in different cells, and this oxidation of food to release energy is of course called respiration. See how circulation, your transportation, nutrition, and your respiration is linked. Now everything is controlled by one thing in your body, that's your brain. If your brain doesn't want food, you cannot have food. If your brain doesn't want your esophagus to digest, you can't tell your esophagus to digest immediately. So that is also a stimulus that the food is coming in and you have to, digest it. That is also given by the brain. The command is given by the brain. So see, the command is being given by the brain. Next, we come to another life. So you must have seen that how all the processes, they are interlinked to each other. Now we go to another life process that's called growth. Now you were a small baby, people used to come and cuddle you, right? So you had small fingers, now you have long fingers. How did it grow? So you have grown with time, your cells have divided. So the process which involves the changes from a small organism to a big organism is known as growth. Next is your movement. Now, of course, you're at lockdown and you are at home and getting bored, I understand. But of course, that's also very important to stay at home. But in home also you're moving about. You are going, watching the TV, playing PUBG and different activities. Not only that, sometimes studying. So, okay. So, of course, this movement, or you're eating, you're going to the other room. So, you're fighting with your siblings. So, you're moving constantly, right? Even if you're flipping the pages of a book, that's also kind of movement. So, all organisms tend to move. So, movement is the change in the position. And what is locomotion? Change in the space. From here you go to the other room, that's locomotion. Plants can't do that. Plants do movement. It shows growth in the leaves, it shows growth in the stem. So this movement, this growth is its movement. Next is of course reproduction. It is the way in which a progeny perpetuates itself, right? Or it continues the progeny. And it is a very important process, although it's not essential, but yes, it is essential for a progeny to survive. Next is of course we have discussed more or less all the life processes, and you have seen how the different life processes are interlinked to each other. Now we come to nutrition specifically, because we will be starting with the subunit nutrition. Today we will be discussing about the introductory part of the nutrition, and my next video will of course tell you about the nutrition that plants derive. So nutrition, of course, food is organic matter. It is hydrocarbons, organic matter. They are all basically hydrocarbons having a hydrogen and carbon. I've already discussed with you. So basically the simplest food, you know the different categories of food that is available. That is carbohydrate, mainly carbohydrate, sorry again. So mainly it's carbohydrate, it's protein and fat, right? So the simplest form of carbohydrate, of course, is glucose, and that glucose can be absorbed by plants as well as animals. Okay. Now let's come to of course we were talking about glucose. So the glucose is the basic thing that a plant and an animal both can absorb or utilize, right? It can change itself into complex, basically it can change itself into complex, but absorption will be done by glucose only. Okay, now let's come to what a nutrient is. Nutrition, nutrition, from the word nutrition comes the word nutrient. So nutrient is a substance which an organism obtains from its surrounding for a source of energy. Of course, we eat food to gain energy, to repair any wounded cell, to recover from something. Even cell division is a part of nutrition. Cell division, reproduction, everything is interlinked to each other. So basically a nutrient is a simple substance that a body needs for it to synthesize energy. Okay. So example, of course, carbohydrate, protein, fat, I've already discussed with you. Next, of course, we go to the next part, that uh, we were talking about different modes of nutrition. Now, what are the different modes of nutrition in which an organism can attain the food? That's known as the mode of nutrition. So basically we have two modes of nutrition: one the autotrophic, the other the heterotrophic. Now, autotrophic, auto means self, trophic means food. So organism which can make its own food is known as autotrophic organisms or autotrophs. Organisms who cannot make their own food, hetero money different, atrophic money food. So heterotrophic means organisms that cannot make their own food. So where will it depend on? It will depend on the autotrophs for their food, right? So autotrophic mode of nutrition I've already discussed. Plants are a part of it. And heterotrophic, green plants, bacteria, these are all autotrophs. And they make food by the process of photosynthesis. Okay, we will be discussing in details in the next class. Now we come to heterotrophs. I've already told you what the meaning is. So all animals are heterotrophs. Now, for heterotrophic mode of nutrition, there are three main subdivision of heterotrophic mode of nutrition. The first one being the saprotrophic, the second one being the parasitic, the third one being the holozoic. Saprotrophic, saprotrophs. Sapro means dead and decaying, and trophs mean food. Okay, so basically organisms which derives its own food from dead living organisms, dead and decaying organisms. That's known as a saprotroph. You must have heard about fungus, mushroom you eat. So that is a basic saprotroph. Fungi, yeast, these are all saprotrophs. Next, we come to the parasitic mode of nutrition. Now, you have your friend who is very good in studies, and you are one lazy person, although you're good in studies. So, what you do is, hey, my notes study. So, what you're doing is you're depending on your friend for your notes, right? So, organisms which depend for nutrition on other organisms, they are known as parasites. And the person or the organism on which the parasite depends for its nutrition, for its shelter, that is known as a host. So this host and parasite relationship constitutes a parasitic nutrition. So parasitic nutrition you will see in mostly worms, plasmodium, and then roundworms are also there, of course. Next, of course, there's a plant called cascata, that also, the bale gach, cascata. So that also shows parasitic nutrition. Now we come to holozoic nutrition. Holozoic nutrition, human beings show, amoeba show. What do? They take in the complex matter, break down into simpler matter, and absorb it. Very evidently easy. Okay, so they take it, ingest it, digest it, and absorb it. So this is all about the different types of nutrition that are seen in plants and animals, nutrition in organisms. So next class, of course, we will be doing the autotrophic nutrition in plants in details. So hope you liked this video. If you have any doubt, you are free to ask me. Send in your comments, send in your feedback, send in any query that you have anywhere. And I have provided you with a study notes. I'm just following those study notes and doing these videos. Also, one more thing that you need to be very careful. I send you a test your understanding. Question and answers are there. I mean, a few basic fill in the blanks. So after watching my video, if you can just solve it, it'll be evidently easy for you. Stay safe, stay at home, and let's get over this.